One More Night, Issue Number 1, Setting the Stage. It was a summer night when Bill walked into his kitchen to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Bill wasn't particularly hungry, but one of his only vices was eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I'll admit, it's a bit of an odd vice for a grown man to have, but at least it's not heroin. Anyway, once Bill made it into his kitchen, he noticed a young man sitting at the table looking somewhat, mopey. Yeah, let's go with mopey. Bill recognized the mopey teenager as Robbie, one of Jacob's friends. It's probably worth mentioning that Jacob was Bill's younger brother that just graduated high school. Also, the reason Robbie was in Bill's kitchen was because Jacob had some of his friends over for an all-nighter which consisted of various activities including video games, stories, poker, jokes, arguments, wrestling, and so on. At some point, Robbie was feeling mopey and decided to sit at the kitchen table, while the rest of his friends were downstairs playing video games. I think that more or less sets the stage. As a writer, I get lazy every now and then and prefer telling as opposed to showing. I also think that some writers become a bit self-indulgent when they decide to show instead of tell. I'll never forget reading John Steinbeck's The Pearl in 7th grade and being bored when he took his time to describe the weather when all he had to say was, "It was a windy day." However, I do acknowledge the irony of taking an entire paragraph to explain about other writers being self-indulgent instead of telling the story at hand. Speaking of which, Bill was debating about whether to ask Robbie what's wrong, or to quietly go back to his room to avoid having to talk to Robbie altogether. In the end, Bill was overcome with compassion for his fellow man. "Hey, champ, what's going on?" Bill asked Robbie.
Nothing. Just thinking,"
said Robbie. "What about?" said Bill.
Life in general, I suppose,"
said Robbie unconvincingly. "It looks like life in general is rather upsetting. Are you okay?" asked Bill.
It's nothing worth mentioning,"
Robbie mumbled. "Why don't you mention it anyway? You're going to be here all night after all. So let's have it." Bill locked eyes with Robbie and held his gaze until Robbie looked away in acquisition.
"Well, there's this girl," Robbie began.
"Well, of course it's a girl," Bill explained with a somewhat mocking exasperation. Robbie shot Bill an injured look. I just mean that we've all been there." Bill recovered. Robbie's face relaxed. "Tell me about her."
Well, I don't know where to start," said Robbie.
"I've always found that the beginning is oftentimes the best place to start," said Bill, trying to move things along.
"Okay," Robbie began. "The thing about her is..."
And Robbie spent a good half hour describing a series of events and giving reasons and explaining nuance and, dare I say, feelings. Then Robbie ended with,
"And she's leaving for college this fall."
You didn't really think I was going to expose the inner workings of the male mind, did you? I'm all for telling a relatively compelling fictional story, but not all of Cockatoo readers are men, and I'd rather have my readers be slightly disappointed than potentially giving women the drop on the thoughts and feelings of men. Men can more or less imagine what Robbie said, and for the women, just think of something you saw on the Hallmark Channel to satisfy that curiosity of yours. By the way, is the Hallmark Channel still a thing? I haven't watched cable in years. Bill scratched behind his left ear. "Oh, did you tell her any of this?"
No,
said Robbie. "Why not?" asked Bill.
I don't know,
said Robbie.
It's too late anyway."
"What do you say her name was?" Bill asked.
Joyce Reynolds. Why do you ask?"
Robbie looked confused. "Robbie, put on your jacket and wait for me by my car." Bill went to the fridge and took out a jar of strawberry jam.
"Why?"
asked Robbie. "We're gonna go find Joyce Reynolds so that you can have a talk with her," Bill replied with a matter-of-fact tone while grabbing a large container of peanut butter out of a cabinet.
No, I don't want to do that,
Robbie exclaimed. Robbie, Bill said as he turned towards the squeamish teenager while spreading jam on a slice of bread. You don't have a choice. I'm going to have a delicious peanut butter and jelly sandwich, after which you and I are going to buckle up and find the girl you mentioned.
What if I refuse?
Robbie countered, lacking conviction. Robbie, said Bill, you can sit next to me in the car, or you can sit in my trunk. Either way, you're coming with me to find Joyce so you can talk to her. Bill finished making his sandwich as Robbie stared at him, trying to determine whether he was being serious. Bill took a bite of his sandwich and motioned Robbie out of the kitchen. After Robbie left the kitchen, he grabbed his jacket and went outside to wait next to Bill's car.